Hello potential users, welcome again to the Yooz Rising video series, where today I'll be walking us through our Invoice workspace to demonstrate the efficiency and simplicity Yooz brings to the table. If this is your first video of our Rising series, we're very excited to have you here. So now we're logged into Yooz Rising, and we want to focus on the To-Do component of the My Task workspace. Now the To-Do component is going to have everything that I need to work on, and what I have to work on is determined by the workflow rules we have in place. So I can go ahead and select the first invoice in my queue for Granger, and we'll be brought into the Invoice workspace. Well, I'll have three main components. I'll have the header fields on the left-hand side, the invoice image on the right, and the GL lines down here at the bottom, which in this case have been automatically coded. So let's first focus on the invoice. I have a PDF viewer here that's very flexible. You can zoom in, zoom out, download, email with many other standard features, but what's key to point out here, what's unique and so powerful behind the scenes, is that the OCR, as you can see here with a little bubble that pops up, extracted all of the text data from the image, and that our algorithms are trying to interpret the invoice just like a human would. So essentially looking for keywords like invoice number, invoice date, PO number, etc. to extract the data automatically. And as you can see here, it did highlight data sets in purple or light pink, and that's because that's the data the system identified as key and extracted to populate the fields on the left. So this data extraction, the smartest on the market, will really automate and increase your productivity, as you can now just quickly review what the system has extracted and move on to the next one. So on its face, it can appear quite tedious to have to check the extracted field, then search the invoice for the data set, even with that colored highlight. However, that's just not the case in Yooz. I can simply tab through the header fields on the left-hand side, and Yooz will bring me to the data set that's being utilized on the invoice, and I can quickly determine if it's correct. Here at the bottom, the system uses machine learning such that it will learn your coding on a per entity, per vendor basis, and that's why the system is suggesting this allocation. At this point, there's not much left for me to do on this invoice, so I can start looking at the action items that I have appear in the top right. I can choose to close the invoice and save my current actions while keeping it in my queue. I can click submit, which will move it to the next step of its workflow, or I can even forward it to another user to make comments on or complete. I can block it or even link supporting documents to the invoice. And I also have the ability to leave important comments that are relevant to the processing of the document. Now, each component within Yooz is fully adjustable in terms of its size. But sometimes, maybe this flow doesn't really work well on the eyes, so I do have the option to change the display. I can change it to a portrait display mode, or I can even change it to a landscape display mode. Now for me personally, I really like the mixed display, so we're going to go ahead and leave it on that. So at this point, I can go ahead and click submit, and when I do, the next invoice will automatically populate for me to work on. And that's how easy it is to process invoices in Yooz. Please stick around to continue the Rising series and learn more about our differentiators and what separates us from the rest of the market.